Indie games are about to replace AAA games in the gaming industry. They are beating AAA games in quality, price, and now even sales. But why? Did gaming companies get too big? Or is there something wrong in its core in how they manage everything? Hello everybody and welcome to the Gaming Marketplace, where you don't invest with your money, but with your time. On today's update, we're going to be talking about, well, not a game, we're going to be talking about a theory. A game theory. Sorry, I had to. But with that said, we're going to be talking about how management trends have been affecting the video game industry. Let's dive in. First, let me give you a small introduction into the world of project management. PMI, which stands for Project Management Institute, defines a project as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or results. Under this definition, every game counts as a project. In order to manage these projects, there are many management methodologies adopted by different industries. Amongst them, we will be covering two different methodologies: the traditional Waterfall methodology and the AGILE methodology. The Waterfall methodology divides a project into multiple tasks that need to be completed in sequence, meaning you must finish a task before you can continue working on another. These tasks are all planned beforehand by the manager and then followed as closely as possible. Picture this methodology as a baking recipe you must follow, and at the end, you'll end up with a cake, which is your finished product. This is how most products are developed, and video games also used to follow this formula. This was the case when you used to have games come out as finished products, and it wasn't so easy to push an update that would fix any issues you would encounter. Think back to the early 2000s PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox games. Back then, if you wanted to add additional content, you would have to buy a DLC pack that would add that content to the game. Sometimes those DLCs were as big as the original game in question. But more importantly, when you bought the game, you would have a complete game that included all the features that the developers wanted to add. As years passed, software companies were introduced to the AGILE methodology. The AGILE methodology was the complete opposite of the Waterfall methodology. The focus was on the project to be, well, agile, allowing the developers to work on the project on a feature basis. This methodology views each task as puzzle pieces that could be worked on, prioritizing the main functionality of the product. This means that you could build a puzzle in whichever order, but at the end you would still end up with the main picture. Video games have started adapting this methodology in recent years. This is why you've seen games come out in batches. A key example of this is Halo Infinite, which on release had the core game modes of story mode and multiplayer, but was missing some additional content that existed in previous installments, such as Forge and some other game modes that were added later on, months after it had been released. This methodology also opened the doors for the increase in live service games. Live service games allowed the companies to create an initial game and slowly add additional features in future updates. This aligns perfectly with the AGILE methodology, which allows the flexibility of releasing a game with its core components and updating the game according to their customers, aka their player base. That flexibility is also very useful for your thumb as you hover over that subscribe button. Be agile and give me your feedback by subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your time investment. Now, let's go and talk about how Agile affects the gaming industry. Unfortunately, as AAA companies kept adapting this methodology but focusing more on profits than on quality, we, the players, started to notice issues. Many investors shared the sentiment that games are incomplete or missing content on launch. This shift in the gaming industry has caused many to become more skeptical about new game releases. I remember when game releases were a huge thing. People used to line up in front of their local GameStop waiting for them to open so they could buy a new game of their favorite franchise. Pre-order bundles used to actually mean something. People actually looked forward to them and wanted to buy them. Unfortunately, that's just not how it is nowadays. I mean, who can blame them? Who would want to buy a game on launch only to be giving an IOU the moment they boot it up? It's the exact thing that happened with Halo Infinite and Civilization 7, which I recently made a video of talking about its performance upon launch. Check it out after you're done with this video. A methodology meant to benefit the developers and the creators so that when they created games, they could receive constructive feedback from the player base became an excuse from companies to publish a game early in order to make stakeholders happy as they saw profits sooner. I'm aware that the Agile methodology is not the only reason why we're currently experiencing all these issues. This is clearly due to corporate greed and mismanagement by companies making games. But I feel like Agile opened the doors for this type of abuse and misuse. When implemented correctly, it's a framework that allows developers to prioritize the features that matter and allows us, the customers, to tailor the final product to something that we will enjoy. A company that has implemented Agile successfully is Riot Games, who work on League of Legends. This has allowed them to consistently add new content and balance gameplay according to the feedback from their player base. Taking into account that League of Legends is one of the biggest games in the market, it's apparent how beneficial proper implementation is for a game's success. Companies just have to realize that not all games can be developed like a live service game. If a customer is paying for a finished product, you have to give them a finished product. With that said, what do you think? Did you agree with my observations? Lastly, please remember to invest some of your time in liking, subscribing, and clicking that notification bell for more updates like this. But with that said, that concludes today's update of the gaming marketplace. Catch you in the next one.